Jay here for Stretford, Paddock. This is the big one. The Scousers.
The big one.
Liverpool coming to Old Trafford. So, because it's the big one, we've got the big guns out. Joining me are two absolute giants of the Manchester United fan base. Some would say Titans. We've got Alex Bagley.
Goliath season.
Right.
Yes, the housewife's favourite is joining me. How are you?
I'm good, mate.
Yeah, you love
Great
that moniker,
mood.
don't you?
No.
You love it when I call you that.
Not in the slightest.
I know you don't. And also,
What am I?
you're equally as attractive, although not quite as revered.
The alcoholic's favourite.
Yeah, the alcoholic's favourite is Joe Smith.
Hello.
Hey.
How are you?
All right, you all right?
Yeah, good.
Right.
Bit ill, but not
All right, it's not about you. Let's get down to brass tacks, right? Because unless you've been sort of living in a cave somewhere for the last sort of month or so, you might have noticed that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is under a little bit of pressure. And some would argue that this could be make or break for him. Baggers, I'll start with you. Let's just keep it simple. If we lose, is he getting sacked?
No, I don't think he's going to get sacked. I don't think that it's going to get to that. I don't think United are in the position to do that. I don't think they're prepared to do that. I don't think they've kind of worded anyone up and said, look, this is going to be the plan if this goes wrong. Now, look, it all can change if it's a very, very, very bad performance. But from what we saw in midweek, especially in the second half, I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think we might not get a result on the weekend, but I don't think the performance is going to be. I think United are up for this one. You see what was like the second half against Atalanta, and I think that, look, I think United have got this in them to put a good performance in against Liverpool and maybe get a result.
No. I kind of agree with that, to be honest with you. Joe, where do you stand on it? Do you think that this could be his last game?
No. I don't. I mean, unless, he just quits after the game. He's not. I don't think he's going to get sacked. I know we're in a position where things aren't looking great at the moment, but he's not. Based on everything we've heard from every reliable journalist, every murmuring coming out of the club is that he's safe for now, at least. Obviously, as we had Andy on before, he was saying about if he loses the next 20 games, that might not be the case.
Yeah.
Certainly not if he loses the next game.
Yeah.
And I said before the Leicester game, I think the performance today is almost as important as the result. Obviously, it's never as important as the result. The result is always the main thing. But I think we needed a performance, and we didn't get it against Leicester. But I think we did get it against Atalanta. Certainly that second half, we looked very good in that second half. We made loads of chances. We didn't concede too many chances. We were by far the better team. We looked composed. We didn't just get passed through whenever they wanted to, like they did against Leicester. That's the sort of performance we need again, like you mentioned there, Alex. I'm hopeful we can get that performance again. Because, if we play like we did in the first half, Liverpool will beat us. If we play like we did in the second half, I think they've got a good game on their hands. And we may lose it. We may not win. But if we don't get embarrassed, if we can look at that and go, we did well there, hopefully get a draw and even better get a win. But I think, again, we need to start putting performances together in a row where you can be proud of what the players even did, let alone what the outcome was.
100%. I think we need a consistent 90 minutes.
Exactly.
Atalanta, as you just said there, that first half, that first 40 minutes of that game was atrocious. Then, you look at even the good games. Leeds is probably the best one. First half took a while to get going. Newcastle, we had a 40-minute spell where we were just unplayable. There's not been, from start to finish, United just dominating a game this season. And with the players we've got at our disposal, we should be doing that.
Yeah.
We should. And I know it's going to be very difficult against Liverpool, but we should have been doing it against some of the lesser teams.
But again, even we could play well for 90 minutes and still not dominate because Liverpool are as good as Man United. Yeah. We could still put in a good performance where you go, we did really well from the whole game, and we might only squeak a 1-0 draw, a 1-0 win, but that could be good enough,
Yeah. Joe was mentioning there as well. We've had Andy Mitten on the channel. Go and check out that interview with him. Always good to chat to him, and he's talking about loads of good stuff as well. We'll just get. Do you know what? We'll just move on to predicted 11s because this is the sort of the main crux of it. Innit? It's how is Ole going to set up? How is he going to cope with Liverpool and cause them problems? Joe, I'll stay with you. Talk us through your predicted 11 because I think the big question for me is in midfield. But go on, you can talk us through it.
Well, mine's almost unchanged from the team that played Atalanta. I think that's the most balance we've seen in midfield. I think history shows us, and not just from Ole's perspective and opinion, but from the results, that Fred and McTominay is our safest bet in midfield. I think when they're both fit, they play. Unless, of course, Fred, some talk about maybe holding his hamstring as he came off against Atalanta. I'm assuming, based on what we know now, that he is playing. But again, that could change. Starting from the back, it's basically the best back five we can pick. I think I'd be surprised if either of you two have gone away from that. De Gea, Wan-Bissaka, Lindelof, Maguire and Shaw. Varane obviously still out. And then it's McTominay and Fred. I think it offers the best balance. I think it offers the most industry, the best work rate. It's the only one that's willing to sort of track and cover every run, every man, you know. Sorry, they don't quite have the quality on the ball of Paul Pogba or Nemanja Matic, but we win more games when they play there than any other pair. I've gone for them. I've also gone for Rashford. Just looks so electric since he's come back. I think he's been one of the kind of not underdog, but kind of it's gone under the radar a little bit, how effective and how dangerous he's been since he's come back. He's been through on goal 5 times in 2 games since he's come back. Just one-on-one with the goalie 5 times.
Yep.
And he's got 2 goals from it. He could have got more goals. I think he has to play Bruno Fernandes. Again, has to play. He's wasteful at times. He's frustrating. But he's got a history of scoring against Liverpool. And he makes chances and he scores goals. I think this is a game for Jadon Sancho. I think they've got better defenders, Liverpool, than teams we've faced recently. They're good in transition. They're good defensively. We need someone that can sort of pick that lock a little bit. And I think Sancho's our best option there. Also gives Greenwood a little bit of a rest. He could come on maybe later on. And again, Cristiano Ronaldo, if he's not injured, picks himself.
Yeah, completely understand that team. Slightly different mind. We'll get to mine in a minute, but it makes a lot of sense what you're saying. You know, Marcus Rashford, he's been looking great, and since he come back, I think he's played 91 minutes in total, and he's got 2 goals. You can't argue with that. And the sort of the McFred axis that a lot of people are critical of is sort of Ollie's go-to formation in it. It's the one midfield, so it would make sense. Do you agree?
I do agree. So this is my 11. I've just made one real change to that. So same back 5, Fred McTominay in there, like you said, if Fred is fit. I've got Paul Pogba on the left there. Wouldn't be surprised if it's Marcus Rashford out there. I think we just need to. It's defensive work rate, and this isn't been a criticism of Mason Greenwood because he's been excellent. I think he's scored 4 goals so far in the Premier League. So it's not a criticism of what he's been doing going forward. But I think you have to play Cristiano Ronaldo. I think if we're going to get a goal from a set piece, if you're going to get a cross like you did for the winner against Atalanta, you have to have Cristiano Ronaldo in the team. And at the moment in time, especially against a team like Liverpool, I don't think you can have a Mason Greenwood and Cristiano Ronaldo in the starting lineup just for the work rate. You know what Liverpool like to do with the full-backs going, pushing on and stuff. You need a bit of work rate. Now, Paul Pogba hasn't been known for that, but I think an extra body in midfield that'll probably sit up more as a diamond. You might see Marcus Rashford drifting out to the left to try and get in behind Trent, but that's kind of what I've gone for. I also wouldn't be surprised if there's a bit of a wild card in Jesse Lingard starts this week. Just another game of energy. I think that's the one thing against Liverpool you're going to need. And it's the one thing that's worked under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer since he's been manager. You know, there's been question marks about having Fred McTominay and the quality that brings, and even like Wan-Bissaka and Dan James, who've been questioned about are they good enough technically. But when United have played good football, when United have won games, it's been because of we've outworked the team, we've worked harder, and that's what I'm expecting United to have going into the Liverpool game. Because look, it hasn't been working. It hasn't been flawless football. I think you need to get as many bodies in midfield as you can. I think you need to outwork them. So that's why I think you're going to see Mason Greenwood miss out for this game.
I like that, by the way. I like getting Pogba and Rashford in the same team. I like that because even though Pogba as a 2 doesn't get back quite enough, his defensive willingness or sort of awareness isn't always there. In comparison to Sancho or Greenwood, he's going to do a lot more tracking back in defensive work. So yeah, that could work quite nicely. That.
Again, it makes sense. You know, there is you would think that Ole has to try and find a way to get Paul Pogba into that team. And if you think of how he rates McFred in these games, those are his go-to midfield, then playing Pogba on the left, not dropping Marcus, playing him on the right. It wouldn't surprise me if that was the formation and the setup that we saw from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We'll move on to my team. Slightly different from both of yours. I've dropped McTominay, and I'll explain why. He doesn't. For me, there's something going on with him. He doesn't look himself. He just doesn't look fit. I agree with everything you've just said in terms of that McFred is his go-to midfield, and those two work well together, and those two against a strong team as well. You need that protection, you need that energy in the midfield. But McTominay's just not been at the races this season, and I love Scott McTominay, I really do. But he's just, I don't know, his injury, I don't know, his fatigue. There's something not quite 100% about Scott McTominay, and that's why I brought in Paul Pogba, because I feel that, like you've said as well, it's, you know, get him into that team. It's not his best position, playing a lot, sort of deeper role, but he can still do a job there. He can still be effective there. And also with the energy of Fred, that can perhaps make up for some of the defensive frailties that Pogba may have. it's a big ask for Fred, I'm not going to lie. But I just feel that maybe Ollie might look at it and go, I need to get Pogba in. Scott McTominay's not in the best of form. Can this work? I've gone with Rashford on the left and I've gone with Mason on the right. Mm-hmm. A big part of that was in the FA Cup last season against Liverpool. I thought those two were outstanding in those positions, and we saw them work well together. You saw the ball from Marcus to Mason for his goal was ridiculously good, and then Marcus got a goal himself as well. And obviously, as you said, Joe, Bruno can't be dropped, and Cristiano Ronaldo's not going to not play, is it? And the back five picks itself now with no Rafael Varane. We'll move on to the Scousers. Is it a case? I mean, it's not, but we'll just say it anyway. A case of stop Mo Salah and you stop Liverpool.
I think to a certain extent it is. I mean, like you said, there's 11 players, but
and they've got some other good players.
Van Dijk can pop up with a header. Firmino got a hat trick the other day, but Mo Salah's got 12 goals in 11 games this season. Right. He's the one that everyone, is he the best player in the world at the minute? Well, I don't know. I
don't
never
care
get that.
either.
It does made in that a little bit. Because is he the best player in the world at the minute? Yeah. But then is Firmino scored that trick, so he was the best player in that game. So is he the best player in the world? Like the second someone scores, are they the best player in the world?
Right, this second. You don't know, right? Because you're not watching South American football. No. You're not watching all the football across Europe. Like you can argue that from the players we see in the Premier League, for example, he's the best player in the Premier League. Okay, at the minute. Okay, you can make that argument. I would never make it myself because I won't.
But again, at the moment, what does that mean? Yeah. Which moment? Since the start of the season, this game, this few seconds, he came off as a sub. He's not the best player now. He's not playing. He's not a footballer. It does made him. He's playing very well though.
Yeah.
Let's not argue about that.
I mean, it's a controversial statement, but we'll go with
12 goals in 11
12
games?
goals in 11 games.
Yeah.
He's playing about as well as a footballer can play at the moment. We've seen Luke Shaw do well against him in the past. We've seen Luke Shaw do not so well against him in the past. So it's going to be one of those where I think whoever's on the left-hand side needs to help out. And I think Rashford's more willing to do that. Maybe
and Fred as well. I think that's where Fred drops in.
Of course, yeah.
That's what you need.
It's going to be really difficult to stop Mo Salah.
Are you worried, Baggers, about Salah? Because some players, you go into a game and, this is when I was a kid, you go in a game and you'd be like, Shearer or whatever, or,
Henry.
Yeah, Henry is going to cause us issues. And there were certain players that always sort of did it against us. Salah's never really shone against us very often. He's had moments.
Yeah, he scored. The 2 goals he scored, I think, have been like the last kick of the game, 95th minute, when the game was dead or whatever.
He's had moments, like I say, because he had people go, scored, I know. But I think, like you say, a lot of the games against him, we've kind of done okay.
It's weird with Luke Shaw, because Luke Shaw, I think, has kind of reverted back a little bit. I think he's been a bit ropey defensively this season so far. But I think in these kind of games, especially when it's like you're up against Mo Salah today, it's almost like he switches on a bit more. It's almost like he goes, well, I'll just defend then. I'll just do that. And he does very well with that 1v1. Whereas when it's someone that he's not quite, the Everton game of the week where he's not, you got Andros Townsend against, you should handle him. He pushes forward, he gets out of position. But I think when you're playing Mo Salah today, he goes, right, I'll sit back and I'll do it.
Do you know what as well? It's not just that, it's Trent down there right hand side, isn't it? Yeah. Trent Alexander-Arnold, sorry. I hate when everyone calls him Trent just because he's got a long name. Like they're his mate. Yeah, Trent Alexander-Arnold. You've got to get over to him. My main gripe with Shaw is sometimes he doesn't get over to that touchline quick enough, or he sort of.
He's not great at blocking across.
Yeah, he's not, and you've got to be able to do that because otherwise you can ask for all sorts of trouble. With all that being said, I'll carry on with you, Baggers. Give us your score prediction.
Going 2-1 United, but I think the big thing is you have to score first against Liverpool. I think that's been the case. They come out very fast in every game they play, and I think that's what. Again, same as the Atletico the other night, they scored early and it changed the shape of the game. If United do this, if United come out fast and score the first goal, I do think we've got a very good chance. But it's all who scores the first goal in my opinion, because look, they're a very good team, and if they come out fast and get a goal, they're hard to break down, they're hard to score against. I think we need to score early, but I'm gonna go 2-1 United. You've got to do it.
Good lad. Go on.
2-2. I think we've seen in recent years there's goals in these games because both teams like to counter attack. Yeah. Both teams know how much this means. I mean, I'm sure there's been plenty of 0-0s, but we saw 3-2 in the cup. We saw, was it 4-2 last season where they scored the last minute? Yeah. 4-1, 3-1, whatever it was. There's plenty of goals generally in this fixture in recent years. I think Ole versus Klopp is a high scoring sort of style collision there.
Good point.
So I'm going to go 2-2. I think, again, there's a good 2-2 and there's a bad 2-2. We need to look solid. I know it says stupid saying we look solid, we conceded 2 goals, but we're playing against one of the best teams in the world here. you can look really good and solid and play well and defend well and still concede 2. We need a good performance. Like you said, 90 minutes. If there's a couple of slip-ups, we concede a couple of goals, okay. But we can't just be dominated and overwhelmed and scrape something because that's just going to be, I don't know, it won't answer any questions. So I'm going to go 2-2, but hopefully it's a 2-2 where you go, we were as good as them today. That's what I'm looking for.
I like it. It makes lots of sense. There are going to be loads of goals. And we always, struggle to keep a clean sheet.
You've got a smirk
So-
on your
You're
face
going 0-0,
that
aren't
looks
you?
like 4-0
You're
to
going
me.
0-0.
Oh, I'm going to go 3-0.
Yay!
Listen,
It was either going to be that or 0-0.
Yeah,
It was either going to be there's loads of
minus
goals
one
in this.
each.
0-0.
these Scousers haven't played in front of a crowd like we've got Old Trafford nowadays. Are you
That's
crazy?
true. No.
Hey, the TRA and all that, giving it, they won't be able to cope. Marcus Rashford back from being fully fit finally, getting at him. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to look at Mo Salah and go, you're the best in the world, mate.
Yeah.
Watch this. Yeah, no worries. 3-0. Game over.
Love it.
Yeah.
Jay will reveal what he actually thinks after the game.
Yeah.
That's me alarming my phone. I
yeah.
need to go and take my tablets. Right. Make sure you're checking out paddockmerch.com if you're not doing it already. Make sure you're checking out Joe Smith 93 and Alex Baggers.
Yep.
Is that-
Baggers underscore Alex. There you go.
Baggers
That'll do.
underscore Alex. There you
Fine.
go. Sorry, I
Anyway.
thought I was doing really well there.
You're
and
doing
I
so
messed it
well.
up, as
Get
usual.
your score predictions in the comments as well.
Oh, and send some over, paddockmatchday@gmail.com to feature on the pre-game show for the watch-along.
The pre-game show, is it you two? Who's on it?
Me, Alex, and Joe McGrath as well.
Oh,
chaos.
that's a right combo, that, innit? If you're not doing as well, hit subscribe. Give us a subscription. We're over 612,000. I want to get to 700,000 by the end of the season, and with your help, we will do it. That's been Joe. That's been Baggers. I've been Jay. This has been a Liverpool preview. Thanks for watching.